Ako ang iyong kasama, kaibigan. Sa lahat di ka mapapaya. Magkasagkat tayo, magkasagkat, magkakapit, magkasagkat, magkakapit.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Equilibrium Probiotics. Ito ay ang bagong food supplement na gawa sa mga piling gulay at prutas at dumaan sa isang masusing proseso para mapangalagaan ang inyong kalusugan. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay dinisenyo para sa kalusugan ng ating tiyan, tulungan ng pagkuha ng sapat na nutrisyon at ang pagpapalabas sa ating sistema ng mga nakakasirang toxins. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may iba't ibang disenyo at sangkap base sa inyong pangangailangan. Mula sa boost para sa mga bata, fortitude, gusto break, miracle fruit, periwinkle, at ang pinakabago, liver fruit. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may pagmamalaki ng produktong gawa sa talak. Ito ay mabibili sa Lasien, Geta Road, San Sebastian, Phase 3, Binalganang, Tarlac City. At para sa mga malalayong lugar, mabibili din ang produkto ng Equilibrium Probiotics sa Lazada. Ito ay eksklusibong gawa ni Ginang Malu Reyes Blu-ray. Ano pang hinihintay nyo, mga kasangga? Hala, bili na! Magandang umaga po mga kasangga. Nandito naman po ang inyong Kuya Dong. It's May 8, 2023, Monday, Lunes. At siyempre po, bago natin simulan yung araw, magkakaroon po muna tayo ng MSD, Kape at Balita sa umaga na maghahatid sa inyo ng kalahating oras, best effort po, kalahating oras ng mga nagbabagang balita at kaganapan sa loob at labas ng ating bansa sa loob lamang po ng 30 minutes. So, hopefully, masunod po natin yung 30 minutes. Alam naman po natin na Lunes ngayon at busy po tayo mga kasangga. Pero bago po natin simulan yung ating pagbabalita, samahan niyo po muna ako sa isang maikling panalangin. Sa ngalan ng Ama at ng Anak ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Mahal naming lumikha, maraming salamat sa bagong araw na ipinagkaloob niyo sa amin. Sa mapayapang gabing lumipas at sa patuloy na pagbuhos ng iyong mga biyaya sa amin at sa aming bayan. Naway ipagkaloob mo pa sa amin ang lakas at tibay ng loob upang mapaglabanan ng kasamaan at manatili po kami sa paggawa ng mabuti sa kapwa at pagsunod sa inyong itinurong tamang landas. Lahat ng gawain namin, inaalay namin sa iyong anak na si Jesus, na aming Panginoon. Amen. Sa ngalan ng Ama at ng Anak ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. At sa ating pagbabalita, para sa ating top news for today, mula sa Inquirer. Bureau of Immigration intercepts 10 Filipino sex ring victims. Mula po ito sa Philippine Daily Inquirer. The Bureau of Immigration intercepted on Friday 10 Filipino women supposed victims of overseas sex trafficking rings as they were about to board a Cebu Pacific flight to Singapore Immigration Commissioner Norman Tansinko said in a statement on Saturday. Tansinko said the women claimed that they would tour Singapore with their friends but were later found to have permits as entertainers. We received information earlier this month from the Interagency Council Against Trafficking that these women will end up as sex workers, the Tansinko said. The women were allegedly recruited online via Facebook Messenger to work at a club in Singapore where they were offered a salary of 40,000 a month with deduction for their travel expenses for 6 months. Report by Jacob Lazaro. On to the next headline. SC panel. Rights should be protected, even ex parte. Report by Jacob Lazaro for Inquirer.net. Although the country's anti-terror law leans heavily in favor of the government, the Supreme Court will keep a keen eye on civil rights, particularly in ex parte matters, according to retired Chief Justice Renato Puno. Puno, who was Chief Justice from 2006 to 2010 and served in the Supreme Court for 17 years, was tapped to head a committee currently drafting judicial rules on anti-terrorism cases. One peculiarity of Republic Act number 11479, enacted in 2020, is that it allows court hearings even in the absence of one of the parties, known as ex parte proceedings, Puno said during a judicial forum in Mondawi City. The anti-terror law allows the government to present uncontroverted evidence against a person or group and request for a surveillance order, designate them as a terrorist, conduct bank inquiries, and freeze their assets, while the accused are denied the right to defend themselves. However, the retired Chief Justice said there is no stage in the proceedings where the constitutional rights of a party are left unprotected, even when a party is excluded from the proceedings. Puno said judicial protection calls for courts not to be laid back in the protection of constitutional rights. This transformation is sanctioned by our 1987 Constitution. Our courts, especially our Supreme Court, can strike out any order or act, judicial, legislative, executive in nature, that constitutes grave abuse of discretion. Puno echoed the call for incumbent Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo for juries to step up and extend judicial protection to parties vulnerable to possible abuse by state agents of the law. Like Gesmundo, the retired juries also called on magistrates across the country to transform itself from a passive court to an active court. Active in the sense that it ought to be more interventionist in order that the rights of the excluded party can be protected despite the absence of that party. The government cannot take advantage of the absence of a party, violate his rights just because he is absent from the court, an absence that is not his own making, but an absence dictated by the law, Puno added. Earlier this week, Gesmundo also expressed the same concern for the possible abuse by state agents of the law. Gesmundo hoped that the procedural rules being studied by Puno's committee would compel courts at all levels to balance the safety of the public and the safety of fundamental rights in dealing with anti-terror cases. Next on the headline, DOH readies pandemic exit plan. Report by Kathleen De Villa for Inquirer Researchers. The Department of Health said it would reassess policies on pandemic response in the country after the World Health Organization declared on Friday that COVID 19 is no longer a global health emergency. In a statement on Friday night, the Health Department welcomed the lifting of the WHO's public health emergency of international concern, the highest level of alert that had been in force since January 30 of 2020. The DOH will convene the members of the Interagency Task Force for Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF, to discuss and reassess policies and other guidelines affected by the declaration. It said in a statement on Friday night. All factors in determining our next action in line with the WHO's proclamation will be considered and discussed for the approval of the President, it added. The IATF, chaired by the DOH, is the government's advisory body on the pandemic response. Emergency status. The Health Department also noted that the latest development was an acknowledgement of our effective and collaborative COVID-19 response and concerted efforts to fully recover and reopen our economy. Asked what it would mean to countries' vaccination program, the DOH would rather not preempt the IATF meeting and said that more details with regard to our current policies in the next days. Just last month, DOH officer in charge Maria Rosario Bergere shut down the possibility of lifting the public health emergency status of COVID-19 anytime soon. According to her, certain policies for pandemic response should first be institutionalized because of the current COVID-19 measures are tied to the public health emergency status. This includes the one COVID-19 allowance, which healthcare workers would stand to lose once the emergency status is revoked. But after meeting with the IATF last week, Bergere revealed that they are already crafting a pandemic exit plan that would be proposed to the President. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, in a press briefing on Friday, said that the end of the global health emergency status means it is time for countries to transition from emergency mode to managing COVID-19 alongside other infectious diseases. If need be, I would not hesitate to convene another emergency committee should COVID-19 once again put our world in peril, he stressed. In the Philippines, confirmed cases are once again on the rise, although more gradual than in the early years of the pandemic, as COVID-19 continues to spawn new variants. The latest strain to enter the country is Omicron XBB.1.16, initially found to be more transmissible, but still in a low level of risk. Active cases. Data from the DOH COVID-19 tracker showed that there were 1,563 fresh cases on Friday, slightly up from 1,190 cases recorded the previous day. It was the second day that the daily infections surpassed the 1,000 level in nearly 5 months, or since December 22, when the country logged 1,031 new cases. The latest count pushed active infections to 9,159 and the country's COVID-19 tally to 4,099,088. On to global news. King Charles crowned at coronation service in London. Report by Reuters to Inquirer.net. London. King Charles III was crowned on Saturday in Britain's biggest ceremonial event for 7 decades, a sumptuous display of pageantry dating back 1,000 years. In front of a congregation of about 100 world leaders and a television audience of millions, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the spiritual leader of the Anglican Church, slowly placed the 360-year-old St. Edward's crown on Charles's head as he sat upon a 14th century throne in Westminster Abbey. The historic and solemn event takes back to the time of the 74-year-old's predecessor, William the Conqueror, in 1066. Charles' second wife, Camilla, 75, will be crowned queen during the 2-hour ceremony, which, while rooted in history, is also an attempt to present a forward looking monarchy, with those involved in the service reflecting a more diverse Britain and leaders from all faiths. For a nation struggling to find its way in the political maelstrom after its exit from the European Union and maintain its standing in the new world order, its supporters say the royal family provides an international draw, a vital diplomatic tool, and a means of staying on the world stage. No other country could put on such a dazzling display. The processions, the pageantry, the ceremonies, and street parties, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said. Despite Sunak's enthusiasm, the coronation takes place amid the cost of living crisis and public skepticism, particularly among the young, about the role and relevance of the monarchy. Saturday's event was on a smaller scale than that staged for Queen Elizabeth in 1953, but still sought to be spectacular, featuring an array of historical regalia from the golden orbs and bejeweled swords to a scepter holding the world's largest colorless cut diamond. Charles automatically succeeded his mother as king on her death last September, and the coronation is not essential but regarded as a means to legitimize the monarchy in a public way. The king and queen left Buckingham Palace for the Abbey in the modern black diamond state jubilee coach, accompanied by cavalrymen wearing shining breastplates and plumed helmets. Hundreds of soldiers in scarlet uniforms and black bearskin hats lined the route along the mall, the Grand Boulevard to Buckingham Palace. Tens of thousands ignored the light rain to mass in a crowd more than 20 deep in some places to watch what some saw as a moment of history. The split second glance of seeing the king is really important, but I think the whole day as well. The idea of a nation coming together, you very much feel the pride in the nation, said Mark Strasheim after the royal coach went by. However, not all were there to cheer Charles. Hundreds of Republicans booed and waved banners reading, "Not my king." More than 11,000 police were deployed to stamp out any attempted disruption, and the Republic campaign group said its leader, Graham Smith, had been arrested along with 5 other protesters. It is an unequal and out-of-date system because it has a hereditary billionaire individual born into wealth and privilege who basically symbolizes the inequality of wealth and power in our society, said lawmaker Clive Lewis, who was among the anti-monarchy protesters. Great and good. Inside the Abbey, bedecked with flowers and flags, politicians and representatives from Commonwealth nations took their seats alongside charity workers and celebrities, including actors Emma Thompson, Maggie Smith, Judy Dench, and U.S. singer Katy Perry. Much of the ceremony featured elements that Charles Forbes, right back to King Edgar in 973, would recognize. Officials said Handel's coronation anthem, Zodok the Priest, was sung as it has been at every coronation since 1727. But there was also the new, including an anthem composed by Andrew Lloyd Webber, famed for his West End and Broadway theater shows, and a gospel choir. Charles' grandson, Prince George, and the grandchildren of Camilla acted as pages. Although a Christian service, at the end there will be an unprecedented greeting from faith leaders. However, there was no formal role for either Charles' younger sons, Prince Harry, after his high-profile falling out from his family, or his brother, Prince Andrew, who was forced out, who was forced to quit royal duties because of the friendship with late U.S. financier Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender. They sat at the third row behind working members of the royal family. Charles looked serious as he swore oaths to govern justly and uphold the Church of England, of which he is the titular head, before the most sacred part of the ceremony, when he was anointed on his hands, head, breast by Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby, with holy oil consecrated in Jerusalem. After being presented with symbolic regalia, Welby placed the St. Edward's crown on his head, and the congregation cried out, God save the King. After the service, Charles and Camilla will depart in the 4-ton gold state coach built for George III, the last king of Britain's American colonies, riding to Buckingham Palace in a 1 mile procession of 4,000 military personnel from 39 nations. It will be the largest show of its kind in Britain since the coronation of Charles' mother. When you see everyone dressed up and taking part in this, it's just fantastic. It makes you so proud, said teacher Andy Mitchell, 63, who left his house in the early hours to get into London. My big concern is that younger people are losing interest in all of this, and it won't be the same in the future. Moving on to the next global headlines, Japan and South Korea seek to deepen cooperation, overcome old disputes. Report by Reuters to Inquirer.net. Seoul and Tokyo. Historical disputes should not block South Korea and Japan from deepening ties in the face of international crisis. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol said as he welcomed Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida to Seoul on Sunday. The pledge by the leaders to boost cooperation has been welcomed by the United States as a way to better confront threats from North Korea and competition from China. Kishida's bilateral visit, the first by a Japanese leader to Seoul in 12 years, returns the trip of Yoon made to Tokyo in March, where they sought to close a chapter on the historical disputes that have dominated Japan-South Korea relations for decades. Cooperation and coordination between South Korea and Japan are essential not only for the common interests of the two countries, but also for world peace and prosperity in the face of current severe international situation. Yoon said in opening remarks at their meeting. He said unresolved historical issues should not mean that no forward steps can be taken, and that he wants to make ties better than ever. Kishida said he hoped to discuss bilateral ties as well as regional and global issues such as North Korea with Yoon. He has invited Yoon to the Group of Seven summit set for later this month in Japan and for a trilateral talks with the US on the sidelines. Kishida will also urge for trilateral talks with China as early as this year, Kyoto reported on Friday, citing multiple unnamed diplomatic sources. We have a lot of opportunities to cooperate when it comes to addressing the threat of North Korea and securing a free and open Indo-Pacific, a Japanese foreign ministry official said. The focus of the summit between the two U.S. allies is expected to resolve around security cooperation in the face of North Korea's nuclear threats, with a particular eye on American interests in the region. And Shinhua Lee, a professor of international relations at Seoul-based Korea University, their military and economic capabilities are crucial for promoting multilateral regional security cooperation, and a poor relationship between the two countries could obstruct U.S. objectives, she said. Historical disputes. However, the historical differences between South Korea and Japan threaten to cast shadow over the blossoming ties between its two leaders. Yoon is facing criticism at home that he has given more than he's received in his efforts to improve relations with Japan, including by proposing that South Korean businesses, not Japanese companies, as ordered by a court, compensate victims of wartime labor during Japan's 1910-1945 colonial occupation. South Korean officials were hopeful that Kishida will make some kind of gesture in return and offer some political support, although few observers expect any further formal apology for historical wrongs. Yoon himself has signaled he doesn't believe Japan needs to kneel anymore over what happened in the past. The majority of South Koreans believe Japan has not apologized sufficiently for atrocities during the occupation, Lee said. They think that Prime Minister Kishida should show sincerity during his visit to South Korea, such as mentioning historical issues and expressing apologies, she added. No other hand, Japan is taking it slow. On the other hand, Japan is taking it slow, said Daniel Russell, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia and the Pacific. Kishida is being careful not to go faster than his domestic politics permit, he added. On to our regional news. A 5.1 magnitude quake hits Isabela anew. Six aftershocks also recorded. Report by Villamor Bisaya Jr., respondent for Inquirer.net. City of Ilagan, Isabela. A 5.1 magnitude earthquake struck the coastal town of Maconacon in Isabela and other areas on Sunday, May 7th at 7:36 p.m. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology said in a bulletin. The 31-kilometer deep quake, which was tectonic in origin, was the second strong quake in the area after the magnitude 5.8 quake recorded on May 4. The latest quake was spotted 29 kilometers northeast of the town, the PHIVOC seismic monitoring said. No damage was recorded, but six aftershocks ranging from 1.8 to 2.9 magnitude were recorded after the 7:36 p.m. quake. The quake was also felt in Enrile, Cagayan, intensity 5, Tuguegarao, intensity 4, Gonzaga in Cagayan, intensity 3, City of Ilagan, Tabuk City, and Madela in Quirino, intensity 2, Kasiguran and Baler in Aurora, Lawag City, Pasukin, and Batak in Ilocos Norte, and Santiago City, intensity 1. For our next regional update, Metro Manila's COVID-19 positivity rate hits 20.4%. Okay. Headline from Negros. Another victim of Pamplona massacre dies. Death toll climbs to 10. Report by Feino for Inquirer.net. A man who was shot during the assassination of Negros Oriental Governor Ruel Digamo last March 4th died on Sunday, bringing the death count of the killing incident to 10. In a Facebook post, Digamo's camp revealed the passing of victim Delino Cafe Jr. 2 months after the Pamplona massacre occurred. We mourn the passing of Cafe, also known as Putok, from the Provincial Engineer Office, Umanod, Santa Catalina. His death marks the 10th victim of the Negro Oriental massacre that occurred 2 months and 3 days ago in the residence of Governor Digamo, the post reads. He succumbed to his death from his gunshot wounds from 2 months and 3 days ago from the bloody terror attack in the residence of Governor Digamo, it added. Based on early reports, 9 other individuals, including Digamo, died while being brought to 4 different hospitals in the province following the attacks. Aside from Cafe and Digamo, other victims were Jesse Botay, 48, Jose Marie Ramirez, 41, Jerome Makiling, 48, Jomar Canseco, 33, Crispin Vallega, 40, and Florenda Quiniquito, Jose Netada, and Michael Gitlan Pabugais. 14 others sustained gunshot wounds on their bodies. Time check, it's 5:20. Oh no, it's 6:20. Sorry. Moving on to sports. UAAP volleyball. UAAP, with more depth, LaSalle eyes different outcome versus NU in finals rematch. Report by Lance Agkawili for Inquirer.net. LaSalle parades a deeper bench when it tries to return the favor against defending champion National University in their UAAP Finals rematch beginning Sunday at Smart Araneta Coliseum. Malaluan, who got swept by the Bella Belen and the Lady Bulldogs in the championship series last year, believes the Lady Spikers flaunt more firepower this time around. Our bench is deep. Whoever you filled in from the bench will contribute. Expect that from our team, said Malaluan in Filipino. Malaluan, who had a sensational rookie year in season 84, has been playing a reduced role after suffering a knee injury prior to the start of season 85. In the Final Four showdown against University of Santo Tomas on Wednesday, LaSalle showed its depth with Malaluan, contributing 9 points to spark the Lady Spikers 26-24, 25-22, 20-25, 25-19 win over the Tigresses. My mindset is to step up whenever the team needs me because I know that we can beat UST in one game. It felt good that we helped each other inside the court and showed that we didn't want to lose in the Final Four, she said. Angel Canino, a bona fide star who is just in her rookie year, has been a big reason why the upcoming championship series could turn out differently. After failing to beat NU in all of their four encounters last year, LaSalle has flipped the script this season by sweeping the Lady Bulldogs in the elimination round without dropping a single set. Malaluan said they just have to stick it to the system of Coach Ramil De Jesus, which has been effective all season long, winning 14 of their 15 games. We have to stick to the system because it has been very effective, so we have to lean on it, she said. However, LaSalle is facing an NU side which has won 7 in a row since losing back-to-back to the LaSalle Spikers. The Lady Spikers are seeking to end the 5-year title drought and bring home the Jesus 12th UAAP title. And for our final update from the NBA, Warriors look to improve road mark at Lakers in Game 3. News from Reuters to Inquirer.net. The defending champion Golden State Warriors have regained their edge and now hit the road, which is not an intimidating of an endeavor as it once was. The Warriors even their Western Conference semifinal series against the Los Angeles Lakers at a game each after a convincing 127-100 victory in Game 2, with the matchup now headed south for Game 3 on Saturday. The number 7 seed Lakers showed their fortitude in Game 1, leaning on stars Anthony Davis and LeBron James for a 117-112 victory. But it was the Warriors stars who were on display Thursday as Klay Thompson made 8 three-pointers on his way to 30 points and Stephen Curry added 20 points and 12 assists. Shooting from distance is what the Warriors do, with the team going 21 of 42 from three-point range, 50%, in a rate that was vastly improved. That was vastly improved on their 21 of 53 performance, 39.6% in the series opener. The 42 made three-pointers through first two games of the playoff series is an NBA record. I would say I relaxed a little bit more, Thompson said after his 9 for 25 overall shooting performance in Game 1. I was not happy with my Game 1 performance. Shot the ball very inefficiently, probably rushed some shots, and Thursday I just let it come to me. And I was telling myself to stay patient, and it paid dividends. Now comes a road game following a regular season when the Warriors won just 11 times away from their building. But they won a pair of road games in their first round series against the Sacramento Kings, including Game 7 clincher. They are going home for Game 3, said Curry, who played through foul trouble and a double team defense in Game 2. They are probably going to be energized and rejuvenated there. So we have to show up there with the same mentality that we had Thursday and not expect that fatigue is going to be a factor at all in the series. The Lakers received 30 points and 23 rebounds in a dominating Game 1 performance from Davis, but he was held to 11 points of 5 of 11 shooting in Game 2 and had just 7 rebounds. James scored 23 points, while Rui Hachimura added 21 off the bench. I took all the same shots I took in Game 1. I just missed them. Elbow jumpers, bucket passes to floater, same exact looks, Davis said. I didn't shoot no shot that I didn't shoot in Game 1. I just missed them, that's all. The Lakers led 32-26 after one quarter, but the Warriors took control with 41 point second quarter, then made a statement with 43 in the third quarter. We're still in the best defensive team in the league, if not one of them, so that doesn't change, James said. We give credit where credit is due. We move on to the next game, but our defense, that's where we hang out. We hang our hat. That doesn't stop no matter who we're playing against. The Lakers are trying to follow a similar pattern to their first round series victory over the Memphis Grizzlies. Los Angeles won the series opener on the road, lost game 2, and came home to take a commanding 3-1 series lead with a pair of victories. So that concludes our news update for today, May 8, 2023, Monday. So we would like first to extend our condolences to the family of Mr. Vic Angeles and Mayor Christie Angeles for the death of Sir Vic's father. Our condolences to the Angeles family. Shoutout lang po muna tayo bago tayo magpaalam. I'd like to say hi to the following. Also, Marisol is watching. Good morning, Sol. Admin Sol. Thank you for joining early. Ate Vener Basangke is watching. Thank you, Che. Oh, Nishida-san is watching. Hironori Nishida from Japan is watching. Good morning, Nishida-san. Chris is watching. Chris Gutierrez. Brother Sunny is watching. And Rainier Salonga, Rainier Donsil, Asyong Salonga is watching.
Good morning. Buti nakapanood ka. Galing ka ba ng wala ka namang pasok kahapon, di ba? Mamaya ka palang papasok, Rainier. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nanood ngayong umaga. Thanks for joining me sa ating reporting. And I will be seeing you again. Hope to see you again tomorrow as I do my daily rounds with MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga. MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Hatid sa inyo ni Kuya Dong. Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Equilibrium Probiotics. Ito ay ang bagong food supplement na gawa sa mga piling gulay at prutas at dumaan sa isang masusing proseso para mapangalagaan ang inyong kalusugan. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay dinisenyo para sa kalusugan ng ating tiyan, tulungan ng pagkuha ng sapat na nutrisyon at ang pagpapalabas sa ating sistema ng mga nakakasirang toxins. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may iba't ibang design at sangkap base sa inyong pangangailangan. Mula sa boost para sa mga bata, fortitude, gusto grade, miracle fruit, periwinkle, at ang pinakabago, liver fruit. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may pagmamalaki ng produktong gawa sa kanya. Ito ay mabibili sa Lasien, Geta Road, San Sebastian, Phase 3, Binalganan, Tarlac City. At para sa mga malalayong lugar, mabibili din ang produkto ng Equilibrium Probiotics sa Lazada. Ito ay eksklusibong gawa ni Ginang Malu Reyes Blu-ray. Ano pang hinihintay nyo, mga kasangga? Hala, bili na.
Magkasangga, magkakapi, sa hamon ng buhay, di ba magkatinulos? Ako ang iyong kasama, kaibigan, sa lahat di ka mapapagyan. Magkasangga tayo, magkasangga, magkakapi, magkasangga, magkakapi.
At ito po ang inyong Kuya Dong nagpapaalam. I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good day.